I just bought this Porsche Macan Turbo for half the price of a brand new Honda Civic, and it runs and drives. Well, sort of. This car rear-ended a soda delivery truck, so I bought it at auction after it was written off by the insurance company.
New bidder. Sold on approval.
Looking at the damage, I don't think it's too bad, but we're gonna find out for sure right now. And I hope I'm right, because I'm giving myself just $6,000 for parts and paint. This is not just your normal turbo. This car is the optional performance package, which bumps the horsepower up to 440, giving it a 0 to 60 time of just 4.2 seconds. I've always wanted to own a Porsche, so here we are. The goal for today is to remove every broken piece, get it laid out here in the garage so I can get a parts list going. And later in the video, I'll tell you exactly how much I paid for the car. But for now, Christian, are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. I'm thinking we start with the hood first. It looks like it's just held on by 6, maybe 13 millimeter bolts, 2 hood struts, and then the washers. So I'm gonna get these bolts loosened, we'll get the washers out, and get this thing off the car. Before I take these bolts off all the way, I'm gonna take these washers, sprayers out. They should just pull out. There we go. I'm gonna pop a hole here. Let's see. Oh, there we go. That's good access. Oh, we got it.
Success.
That's gonna be fun to reinstall, but that's a job for another day. I'm gonna get these struts removed that just clipped off of here, and then finish taking the bolts off, and we'll be done. All right, you got the hood?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. It's gonna get a little, oh, that one was a lot easier. Okay, it's all you. I should probably get a piece of wood. I didn't think that through. Here, hold it for me for a second. Look at that. It's a high quality piece of wood.
That's pro.
You think that's how they do it at your Porsche?
For sure.
Is that that's in the service manual?
Certified Porsche tech.
The 4x4 holding up your Macan hood. Okay, we're good, I think. Okay, last one. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but this thing reminds me of kind of like a clamshell on maybe like the STO or McLaren. This thing is massive, and it's not cheap either. So let's get this thing off. Just put this down. So it should just look straight on. Oh, okay. And look, you can put it on this paint side down. I learned during the RS5 rebuild to keep everything organized, all the bolts and everything, in little Ziploc bags. It made the reassembly so much easier. So I'm just gonna bag up everything as I take it off and label it. So this bag is just gonna be the hood bolts and then those sprayers that we took off. This will go in the drawer for safekeeping, along with the lug bolts. I've mentioned this in previous rebuilds, but I want everyone to know that I have no formal mechanics training. I've never worked on cars professionally or anything like that. I just make it up as I go, and if I can do it, so can you. So of course, I can't find my pry tool. Usually there's a special pry fork that will take these off, but we're gonna just use a flathead screwdriver. And then on this side, these must have come off in an accident. So I'm gonna try to save this piece. There's a little bit of damage right here, but it probably doesn't warrant the $200 or $300 for a new one. And skipping real quick to the bumper, obviously the bumper is ruined, but what I'm excited about is there's a lot of pieces that are still reusable. Like all the parking sensors are still okay. If you look at this LED, these running lights here, the lights themselves are fine, maybe need a little bit of polish. Obviously the housing that holds them is broken, but like the lights are fine. We have another running light down here that I think is okay, another parking sensor. So a lot of the auxiliary pieces of this bumper, I'll be able to pull off and put on the new one once I get it, which will save money and time in the long run. But let's go back to trying to figure out how to get this handle off for the hood release. It's actually not as bad as I was expecting. So now that this is off, let's go into the wheel wells and we will take off the inner fender liners and get access to the bolts that hold from the inside. This side, it does have a fender liner that we will need to take off, which is nice though, because it's one less fender liner I'm gonna have to buy. Okay, let's get these bagged up and we'll get this fender liner out. Well, let's take a quick look in here. Damage-wise, I was afraid that we might see a crack on the subframe. I do not see a crack on the subframe, so that's great. This intercooler I'm hoping is okay. This looks bent here, whatever this support is. Might be the intercooler support, we'll get a new one of those. But overall, I think this is a win. I don't see any suspension damage. So, as expected, but you never know when you are buying a car both sight unseen and actually taking it apart, what to expect. But I'm gonna give this 2 thumbs up. So earlier I said how the car rear-ended a soda delivery truck. I know this because we keep finding glass shards all over, and then some of them are even labeled, the bigger pieces, with soda. So if you look here, there's a bunch of glass, and there's a bunch of like dried soda, which has caused like the dirt to stick to it. But if you come down in here to where one of the intercoolers is, it honestly looks like we have a big old leak. This is just dried soda. You can see a big chunk of it right there. So it's gonna be a kind of a battle, I think, as we go through cleaning up some of these parts with just dried sugar on it, but it's better than an oil leak in my opinion. But that is where all the glasses come from. I don't know where that one just came from. That was not the one I was undoing.
That's one way to do it.
That is one way to do it. Moment of truth, we're gonna find out if all the bolts are released. I think they are. I just have a couple wiring things I have to undo, but I should just pull. Yeah, there you go, and fall off. I'm not gonna pull too hard, because I gotta undo a couple wiring harnesses right here. There we go. Yeah, there's plenty of slack. So I just need to undo these 2 things here. Let's see. Again, without breaking it, because I'm sure it's ridiculously expensive. Cool. And now, we're free. That was not bad at all. Actually, I'm actually surprised by how easy it was. Maybe because we are missing the under tray, which would have been more bolts, but like that wasn't too bad, was it?
No, super easy.
So if you have a Macan and you want to take your bumper off, not that big of a deal. Let's keep plugging away here. Let's see. So this is the first time obviously having the bumper off to look at any additional damage. I'm curious to see if the crash bar is bent, and I think it is. But this is a bolt-on, bolt-off piece. So we're gonna keep stripping away here, but that was a big success. And more glass. We could break another piece of the soda bottle. But we'll save this to pull out auxiliary pieces off a little bit later. This piece looks important. I'll have to figure out where that goes to. See, this is where it gets a little bit tricky, but fortunately everything has a part number, as long as you can find a piece that has the part number on it. So check this out. It looks like we have Porsche zip ties that's actually holding this piece of foam onto the crash bar. I wonder how much these cost from the dealer. I promise you we'll not be putting Porsche zip ties back on. We'll just go with your standard black.
They're actually branded?
They're actually branded zip ties.
That's crazy.
I wonder what the R&D was that went into that.
Head of marketing. They knew. Someone would be pulling one of these off.
They knew. Okay, good news. This crash bar bolts on to these frame rails here. I originally thought I was gonna have to replace all of this. I don't think these are bent, so I'm just gonna pull literally the front part of it off, and then we can assess the damage from there. The moment of truth will be, is this frame rail bent? All right, I'm gonna have to bust out the hammers.
Is there anything else holding it on, or is that it?
I don't know. I kind of want to be gentle because I don't know actually what's broken. What's
Yeah, I know.
Did not break it. There's 2 ways to remove car parts. You can either just pull till it comes off, or you can go with the tactical approach and try not to break anything. Although this is kind of bent, it might be usable. We'll see. We'll see. We're definitely gonna hold on to it. Again, more glass. Look at this.
So much glass. There we go. No hammer needed.
That's the brute force method.
All right. Moment of truth.
If you look at like down here where the bends are, it looks identical. But regardless, it's off. And now we have access to our air conditioning condenser, these louvers, and then the radiator will be behind that. Oh, gonna bust out the handy dandy flathead again.
It's always nerve-wracking busting these plastic clips open.
I know. There we go.
Every time it happens, it sounds like it's breaking, but
So this is kind of interesting. So this is like a louver setup, I guess. That opens and closes till, I don't know, maybe increase or decrease, obviously airflow to the radiator, but maybe for like aerodynamics. Ugh, I don't even want to know how much this is gonna be. I'm gonna guess probably $300 for this, and another couple hundred if that motor is shot. The front end's actually simpler than I imagined it to be. Like, this is coming apart fairly easily, given all the damage. I'm kind of impressed on the engineering behind it. It really reminds me of the Audi rebuild. Obviously, it's all owned by VW, but like, I think this air conditioning condenser is the same. The radiator might be. So I kind of feel like I'm right back at home, having already done this once. So if you haven't watched the RS5 rebuild video, you should. It's on the channel. But you'll see some similarities in these parts. Kind of clip right into the radiator.
nice.
That side is free. So what do we got? We got the horn. We got an air temperature sensor. That thing has seen better days. Oh, it looks like it actually comes all the way around. The only reason this side released is it got cut in an accident. Maybe I have to remove these charge air cooler lines first. We'll do that and then circle back to that final clip. Being that the car is twin turboed, there's obviously 2 turbos, 2 intercoolers. So the air comes in through the air intakes up here, goes into the turbo, which is spun by the exhaust gas, comes around after it's been compressed, runs through this cooler right here, and then the air that has now been cooled, but it is compressed, comes through this pipe, up and around. Then in a perfect world, it's not cracked, it can go right into the intake manifold. So what's cool is when it's cracked is you get some pretty cool like whooshy noises from the turbo, but you lose all your boost, so you have basically no power. That is the downside of having whooshy noises. And just free up this tube. Well, there's half of a charge cooler intake, and now we just have to rinse and repeat on the other side. Got it. Now if we come up here to the top, this needs to be undone from the intake manifold. Okay, that was painless. And that gives us a little more access down here. It might help if we remove the engine cover. Get some of that off to the side. So I think it'd be really helpful if I loosen the clamp all the way.
There we go.
We are free. That's all it was. I did not have the clamp loose enough. So before I can pull this off, I gotta get these lines disconnected. Got it.
There we go.
Now this should pull right in. Here we go. We are making progress. Now, let me get this clip back before I forget about it. I almost got it. Hey, it hit
Look
the
at that.
ground.
Perfect.
I don't know about you, but I held my breath there for a second because you always want to hear it hit the ground. It's scary when you don't hear that because then it's actually lost in the abyss. But we're good. I'm just put this right back on the hose and we'll save it for later. I think the best bet is going to be to remove the headlights, which I bet there's a few more bolts for this upper radiator support hidden underneath the headlights because we cannot get this out. It is fully pinched between the radiator and the support. So let's pull the headlights out. They need to be cleaned anyways. There's glass and sugar on them. So we're gonna do that first, both sides, and then I think we can get the support out. This is old school right here. Should have got the ratcheting crescent wrenches.
Those are sick.
That's when this would have come in handy, but we're on a budget. We're balling on a budget. All right, I'm super sketched out right now. Not break this. Okay, I see where it's snagged. I just gotta get something under it to pry it off. Got it.
There it is in one piece.
In one piece, not broken. Trick was getting a pick from the backside. But look how massive this headlight is. Like, thing's as big as my chest. No wonder why it's like $1,500. And just like I thought, there was 1 or 2 bolts underneath the headlight for this upper radiator support. So I don't fully know what to do with this one. As you can see, it's scratched up. And some of these scratches will buff out, but that big deep one will not. Of course, this car has the premium headlight option, which a normal used Macan headlights maybe $600. These are like $1,500 to $1,900 pre-owned. Don't really want to pay that because it's in perfectly good working condition, but I know that scratch will bug me forever. So I'm not sure what to do about that yet. TBD, but that's what we got. At least it actually works and it's not cracked. So check this out. This is where I think most of the impact happened. Look how close it was to taking out the oil filter and the oil cooler. Had it taken out either one of these and the engine was running, because there was the pyro fuse did not go off, it obviously would have seized the engine. So missed it by about that much of grenading this engine. This radiator almost wants to come out. Let's remove this cross member first just to give us a little bit more room to get the radiator tubes off. How else is that held on? Aha! Right through here are 2 more bolts. Oh no, strip that one out. That strip bolt almost turned a 5-minute job into like a 2-hour job, but we got it. Thought this would just slide right out. Of course it doesn't. There it goes. Okay, let's go ahead and get these radiator lines disconnected and also the transmission cooler lines. So that C-clip should just pop up, and should is the key word. And then this should just pull right off. But everything is plastic, so I don't want to pull too hard and break anything.
There we go.
There we go. Just gotta walk it off.
Super frozen.
I think it's just been on there for 40,000 miles. Did not break it, so that's great. Set that off to the side. Now we gotta get this one off, and then the return on the bottom without breaking those. There we go. I felt it move a little bit.
It's all about the finesse.
It's all about the finesse. You don't want to go all like Hulk Hogan on it. Back to the keyword of finesse. It's nice and easy. I was able to get a little bit of gap in it. Oh.
There it is.
And you spray yourself in the face with residual coolant. But it's off, and again, not broken. Now this is the transmission return line for the cooler. Good news is that there's oil coming out of it, which makes me think that there's transmission fluid. Not that I ever thought there wasn't, but it kind of just confirms. Okay, good news is the transmission fluid looks really clean. It was probably not serviced all that long ago. I think the owner's manual says even at 40,000, so maybe they did it. I think all that's left are the 2 cool lines, the discharges at the bottom. So let's go ahead and try this side. Another side we couldn't get yet, but let's see if we can get this now. We cannot get that lower radiator return clamp off. So I think since the radiator is already shot, I'm just gonna cut the end off of it. And then once the radiator is out, we should have enough room to pull it out. I'm wondering if because the impact happened here, it kind of pushed it into the tube. But nonetheless, let's see if we can cut it off. I got the radiator fan wires disconnected. So this should be disconnected now from the radiator, which it is. Okay, that works. Wasn't the prettiest, but that works. Now I'm going to be able to get to the other side of what I cut and finish my cut right here and get the radiator disconnected.
There we go.
There we go.
When all else fails.
That thing kind of sucked. That took way longer than I expected, but it's out.
Look at that thing. That thing is hammered.
Oh. So now I think it'll be easier to get this fitting out, which is what's stuck. Which is what's stuck in here, so we don't have to break anything. But here's the first look at this componentry. I was afraid, I think it was a long shot, but I was afraid we'd see a crack somewhere here in the front of the engine, but I don't see that from the impact. What's that? The belt's good. I thought the belt could be chewed up, but it's not. I found that one of the cam positioning sensors was broken off, so I just undid these bolts. Good thing I'm getting a new one, but I'm gonna have to get a replacement one of these because the tab here on top broke off. But I don't think that's a big deal. What's kind of concerning is you can see all this kind of like wet oil buildup. Apparently, after doing research online, these engines are notorious for snapping the top valve cover bolt. But first and foremost, I'll get those valve cover bolts switched out at some point. As I look at this more, I've realized that this frame rail is going to have to come off, not because it's damaged, but it's behind this aftercooler or intercooler carrier, which is also part of the radiator carrier. So I think the play right now is to remove all of this and then do that to the other side. So now it's just figuring out where all the bolts are for that. That is supposed to be connected to the radiator. Okay, well that's good. We made some progress. I feel like we needed to get that off. Let's pull that vacuum line off. Unclip that. Nuts and bolts are flying everywhere. Hey, if this doesn't deserve a like and a subscribe, then I don't know what does. But we are in this deep right now, aren't we? All right, let's talk numbers. So I was the high bidder and won the car for $15,300. But you have to take into account auction fees and that I paid for delivery. So as it sits in my driveway, the car cost me $17,020. Given that a non-crash version sells for about $40,000, I think we're in a really great spot, both given what I paid for it and what I need to put into it. I just took a step back and looked at the engine. It looks really gnarly when you step back. Like I was so close, taking everything off, I didn't realize like how much we had done. And I'm like, I gotta put all this back together.
Got a lot of work ahead of you.
Yes, got a lot of parts to order. That $6,000 budget, I don't know. We'll see how that shapes up. All right, got that off. Well, now I gotta do exactly what I did to this side, to that side. But I'm gonna call it a day. Look at just how much we got done. Pretty much every broken piece, with the exception of the pipe stuck in the radiator housing, was removed. I'm a little bit overwhelmed, but we're gonna get this done. I would greatly appreciate if you could drop a like, comment, or even better, if you could subscribe, because we have more videos coming out soon, and I don't know what to expect, so you want to stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching, and we will have this Porsche Macan Turbo back on the road in no time.